It is now time for Me and My Roku with your host Peter Clay.
Hello, Peter.
Incidentally, this is Peter.
So we have a voicemail now from Peter.
From a different Peter.
Peter was like my brother.
This is my brother Peter.
Pete, you are not.
Not everybody sounds like Peter Clay.
Oh, I love Peter.
Holy crap, it's Peter.
All right, Pete, we're not friends no more.
I'm just trying to make friends with Pete.
Okay, I'm with you, Peter.
Who's your guy? Peter.
Peter, walk away!
Does Pete really need to be here?
Yes, he does.
Peter Clay is here today.
Good luck tonight, Peter.
And last but not least,
Peter.
Come on, Pete.
Host Peter Clay.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome to another fantastic, emotional, and special edition of Me and My Roku. I'm your host, Peter Clay. Welcome aboard. This is the podcast where I come by from time to time and talk about my adventures in the streaming universe, whether it be Roku, Firecube, Google TV, anything along those lines. Samsung, you name it, I've got it just about. Laptops, you name it. Tablets. Yes, I do it all. And I report back to you all the things that I do, just show you what I do, and then you decide for yourself what you want to do with you and your Roku and streaming devices along those lines. I took a week off, just mental health reasons, no big deal, and there really wasn't anything really seriously going on, not even really here in the house. It was pretty much football and YouTube. That's about it. A couple other little things here and there. We got caught up on, not Iron Chef, Master Chef. There we go. And a couple other little things. We even watched Guys Grocery Games. Why not? Even with commercials, yes, because we don't have Discovery Plus right now, just on YouTube TV. Yeah, on demand, Food Network. I didn't even need the Food Network app. It was all at my handiness there with YouTube TV even. That's the beauty of the things. There's no right or wrong, and there's just a plethora, a glimmerfree of different things to do with the streaming devices, and I explore and discover, and then I share. That's the life I lead. I love doing it because I love coming to you with my big, deep voice here. I'm a little I've updated my CPAP machine, and so my body's not used to having fresh air come down my throat, and so I got a little deeper voice going on right now. So it's just a few things to get to tonight. So got a bunch to get to here. So let's get started.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Okay, let's catch up on some things. Woke up last week, got an email from Plex that a third party had infiltrated their servers and potentially got some information that wasn't theirs. And who knows what it was and what they tried to do. Plex says it wasn't anything payment related, and basically, after that, any other information they say was encrypted, so had to reset my password. And so if they do happen to break the encryption, a new password has already been replaced and all that stuff. So it made for an interesting morning, and I had to change the password and have to remember what it was to begin with, and then got everything kind of reset and got the server up and running. It did not affect Plex as a FAST or AVOD channel. It was just my Plex server that I keep for various things that I'm not even really sure why I still keep anymore. So as far as the information goes, that's just life in the technology world. It really wasn't information that they didn't already get from Yahoo and Target and Home Depot and all that stuff. So, but you really don't want to give anybody any more information than they already have or need or anything along those lines. So a brief little inconvenience, let's just say. But everything seems to be up and running now. And now I just have to decide whether or not to keep a Plex server or not. Even though I did get the Plex Pass, the lifetime pass, so I suppose I better. But in the meantime, though, one of the things I use a Plex server for, I really don't need it right now. Because in the middle of the night, the other night, and, you know, some people do crazy things at night. whether they've had a little too much recreational fun and all that stuff. And some people, drunk text people like ex-girlfriends and boyfriends and stuff. And some people do crazy things. And some people maybe had a few too many and all that stuff, decide to get NFL Plus. I wasn't going to, because I couldn't get it with credits, but then I could get a 10% rebate from PayPal, and I thought, but well, actually, that's not what I said. Because I had a few, I was like, yeah, why not? Why not? Let's go for it. So it was a 7-day free trial, and then after using it, it was fine, and I decided, okay, and it was $80 for the year, and I've done dumber things with $80, so why not? So what it is and what it isn't. It is not Sunday Ticket. I can't get every single out-of-market game or anything along those lines. I can get audio for every game. I can also, during game day itself, it is only what I would get from my local stations in my region, and that's like I said, the game day audio type of thing. So it's what NFL Game Pass was, except about $10 to $20 cheaper than it was. So it's fine. And then once the games are done, then yes, I can go back and look. I can get a 45-minute condensed game, or I can get the full game without commercials. Then about Tuesday or Wednesday, then the coaches film or the all 22s come out and stuff. So it was a pretty good deal. I did get all the preseason games, and that was kind of nice. NFL Network did a real good job. But sometimes on like primetime games like Saturday night, a game wasn't quite finished and another game was starting, because we can't miss a Dallas Cowboys preseason game now, can we? So they would interweave games and all that stuff. So this way I got to watch the full game uninterrupted and all that stuff. So pretty good deal. I'm pretty happy with it so far. Decided to keep it. Hooray. More football news. Fubo TV, YouTube TV, and the Fox app will stream NCAA football games in 4K during the 2022 season. Now, YouTube TV, I believe you need to pay $15 more a month for 4K. The Fox app, you just need a cable login like YouTube TV or Fubo TV, and you should be pretty good to go through the Fox app. I have the Fox app, and I'm not sure if I've watched it yet. I may this weekend, because the big Wisconsin Badgers will be taking on the Illinois State Redbirds in Camp Randall Stadium on a 6:00 game for playing an FCS team. I'm not quite getting this, but you know that 6:00 I'll be there with my 3 TV setup there. Also, one other thing that a problem that hopefully has been resolved now with Amazon getting the full rights to Thursday Night Football. So streaming only. What does this mean for bars and sports books and all that good stuff? Well, thankfully, Directv came to the rescue. Now, this is Directv business accounts only, and I think it's channel 9532 or something like that, will be able to broadcast the Amazon Thursday Night Football. So, whew, that is just a stress relief right there. So, there you have it. Amazon going to have their Thursday Night Football on DirecTV for bars, restaurants, and sports books. College football in 4K on Fubo and YouTube TV and the Fox app. A breach at Plex, but we seem to have taken care of it. And yes, in the middle of the night, why not? I got NFL Plus. Whew. That is the full update here on Me and My Roku. Okay, so by the time you listen to this podcast, TVG will be no more. It'll be rebranded as FanDuel Sports. There'll also be a streaming component called, of course, FanDuel Plus. But the FanDuel Sports will be available on YouTube TV's sports package. I also believe I had it last year on Hulu Plus Live in their sports package as well. Check your local listings for FanDuel. So this brings up, first of all, let's talk about what this is going to be. It's still going to be about 2/3 horse racing, which is what TVG was. So there's still two channels. Except for in the mornings, then Kay Adams is going to be opening a show like she used to do for Good Morning Football on NFL Network. So she'll have a morning program, and then also Pat McAfee is also going to have a program as well. So lots of sports talk, and I also believe during the weekends then as well. So, and then also they're still going to focus on about 8 horse tracks across the country, primarily. And then I also believe maybe on the second channel, then there's some international as well. So it's still going to be a lot of horse racing, but also into the sports betting, especially now in the NFL football season. So now let's talk about a very sensitive subject here a little bit. So maybe you're into this stuff and maybe you're not, and maybe you've thought about it, and there's no judgment here. Sports betting has become kind of a deal. Maybe just as recreational, there are some people who do it for a living. It's very, very few, to be perfectly honest. There are syndicates, quote unquote, I'm using air quotes if you can't tell, of people who, maybe it's a bunch of dudes, who knows, who get together and throw money into a thing so that you can get better prices or, better payouts. Who knows? Who cares? Type of thing. So if this isn't one thing that you're interested in, all I can tell you is this. Well, first of all, you may hear people like this.
Update for Wednesday's card, August 10th, 2022. Got a free play coming up in Major League Baseball. I'm going to get to that real quick note. We got preseason football this weekend starting tomorrow, and I'll talk a little bit more about that on Thursday's video, which we'll post late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning for those of you on the East Coast. We'll talk about some preseason football, at least what I got going this particular week. And also, right now for today, for Wednesday, I do have a couple of plays led by a 6-star side in Major League Baseball. We won our side yesterday. We went 1-1. We hit the 5-star side. I lost a 2-star total, so we picked.
Okay, so that guy actually right there is a little more honest than some. I'm not saying he's great or anything like that. I'm just saying some of these guys will say, well, I'm 11-1 in the last 12 games and all that stuff. So let's just cut to the chase here. All sports betting content, whether it be podcasts, YouTube, Action Network, VSiN, DraftKings, FanDuel, all ESPN, all of it, RJ Bell, pregame, all that stuff, all of it is awful, okay? There's no way that they're going to tell you 100% what they're doing, what price they got, when they got it, who they heard it from, what they're going to do. So you are left to discern all this information. Then there is information to have, but you have to pick apart and kind of sift through the BS and kind of decode certain things that they're talking about. There are certain people in there, I don't want to say trust, but I will listen to and say, okay, this is it. Most of them are good dudes, and there's a few ladies out there too who are trying, but most of it is this filler content for whoever is supporting them along those lines. Gil Alexander is one person that I've relied upon the years and has been very graceful in my Twitter comments to him and all that stuff. And so I consider him a good dude, but his show is sponsored by BetMGM. The parent company of the network that he is on is owned by DraftKings. He can't give me all the information. I have to discern all these different things. So I have to kind of get out through the sponsorship stuff and then also the things that he can't say because he's not allowed to through DraftKings and all that stuff. He can't participate in different contests and all that stuff. And some of that stuff isn't even legal in Vegas where he's based out of. So there's some other people that are okay. And of course, we got Uncle Brent Musburger coming back on Sunday mornings like he used to do for the NFL Today. He's going to do an hour-long show just before kickoff of the sports game. And that should be interesting. So anyway, A lot of this stuff you can get for free, and I myself don't pay for anything, and so I just basically run my own numbers and all this stuff and find different things. Now, they always say price is the most important thing on it. And that's true for the most part. But on the other hand, if you just focus just on price, and it's like if a good price isn't going to help you if you don't have a good bet. If you don't have you still have to make a pick on something. And if you don't have the right pick, the price isn't going to do you any good. And if you got the right pick, but the wrong price, and so who knows where the chicken and the egg is. And if you're just so focused on price, you end up kind of being that old guy who's driving 5 miles out of his way to get the best gas price, but then he wasted all that gas in the meantime trying to get that price. In the end, it's a wash. So, you have to be mindful and all that stuff. So remember, all this content is awful. Some of it's better than others, and you have to choose that for yourself. If you find someone that you like and you can learn to decode the different things that they're saying. But I'm just going to tell you that probably isn't going to come from ESPN, Action Network, or RJ Bell. But that's just my opinion. You decide for yourself. That's me and my Roku. You and your Roku can decide for yourself. And check out the new FanDuel Sports in your YouTube TV or Hulu Plus Live or wherever you can get your FanDuel channel. That's what we like to do here. We're just trying to live to give and help provide information here on me and my Roku. Okay, kids, gather around. Probably not too close. I mean, actually, things have been kind of looking up a little bit. Monkeypox is down. Haven't heard much about COVID lately and all that stuff. Still seeing a lot of people with masks on. That's kind of encouraging, if you wish. No judgment here and all that stuff. But just come just a little closer here. Let's have a little discussion here and say thanks to a few friends and things along those lines. The bandwidth of this podcast and all my podcasts since 2005 has been brought to you by the Internet Archive, and that is accessible at archive.org. Right now is celebrating 2 decades of live concerts. Yes, that's right. The Live Music Archive is home to over 240,000 concerts from 8,000 artists ranging from the Grateful Dead to Billy Strings. First launched by etree.org and maintained largely by volunteers, this massive library of lossless, legal, live auto recordings are celebrating its 20th birthday this month. Celebrate by reading up or catching up on the history of the collection or find your new favorite concert. Check it out today at the Internet Archive at archive.org. There's things I do in the background here you don't really need to know. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of insane. I do little things around here that pay me in gift cards. I got about 5 to 10 little different things like that. And they pay me in gift cards. And I don't have to pay for my streaming services along those lines. That's just what I do. The one I use the most and the longest and probably the most secure is swagbucks.radioaffliction.com. I trust them at least. I've been using them for over 10 years now. And I looked at my credits. I think I've gotten over like $3,000 worth of gift cards over the years. So break that down, about $300. That's a little more than that. But anyway, I haven't had to have a lot of these things come out of my dime. So it either comes out either in PayPal, a lot of Amazon gift cards. And one time I got so many Amazon gift cards, I bought a lawnmower. Yeah, my lawnmower right there. Didn't have to pay for a darn thing. Not to mention all the Apple cards and Google cards I get that pay for my streaming services. So check it out for yourself today and see what you can come up with to save yourself some cash or anything along those lines. Swagbucks.radioaffliction.com. You just enter that in just the way I just said it, or find the link where you got this podcast. And that gets you all set up and ready to go, because that'll help them, that'll help me, and it'll get you started and on your path to gift card heaven. I'm going to be doing more videos coming up. I already have a few up on meandmyroku.com. I just a little 2 minute, we'll say 2 minute. That's the goal. It usually comes up about 5. But at least you get to see my face. You get to see the things behind me, pictures of the little misses and all that good stuff too. So it's all there for you today. Check that out today at meandmyroku.com. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok, and check me out there, Pierre Argyle on Instagram, and Me and My Roku on TikTok. Check that out, and you get to see me as well there too. I do crazy things. It's kind of funny and fun. That's what we like to do here. You know what else would be fun? 2 decades worth of live concerts. Check that out also at the Live Music Archive as part of the Internet Archive at archive.org. You only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough. Okay, let me finish my thought on sports betting and sports betting content before I move on to news notes and stuff. And if you want to get into sports betting, if you're interested at all, go to a legal sports book. And there are 25 states now. You don't have to go to Vegas or anything along those lines. Just check it out and look at the sheets. Look at there's websites. There's different things. The information is actually technically all right in front of you. You can actually look at some things just in the standings if you look. But again, I'm being cryptic now. Look for yourself. Here's a little piece of advice too that I'll just throw it at you, whether you wanted it or not. Something I learned from my dad. He was an alcoholic, recovering and all this. He hadn't had a drink since 1978, and then he passed away about 20 years ago now. And so I never had a beer with my dad. That was going to be the title of my book I was going to write. But he told me one thing that he never warned me off of drinking or anything along those lines. But he said one thing is, if you wanted to not fall down that path, he says the best thing you can do is just have 2 drinks a day. That's it. Every single day, though. So it's not one of those things like, oh, I skipped a day so I can have 4 the next day. No, just 2 drinks a day. And that way you also get some of the benefits that some of these, that like wine and different things can have. All that stuff. And he basically admitted that was impossible to do. But that's just one of those things where you try to level yourself off type of thing. So in the sports betting things, my advice would be 3 bets every single day. And that way you try and go for 2 out of 3. You know, if you've done the research, you've done the numbers, you've listened to some of the things, you've, sussed out, what's BS and what you think is right. It's like you were leaning towards something in a way and you heard something that kind of threw you over and you got the right price and you have a legal sports book. 3 bets every single day. It was, well, wait a minute. It's Saturday. There's college football. There's 80 games. They're like, nope, 3. That's it. And you try and go for 2 out of 3. Because they say, because of the VIG and all those different things, that basically it takes about 52.5%. Depends whether you're doing money line then too or not. It's either more or less there than to them. But if you got 2 out of 3 over extended period, about 60% of the time as well, 60% of the time it works all the time, you would be in pretty good shape. That's just food for thought. Who knows? Who cares? Anyway, let's get back to news, notes, and stuff. A report, streaming revenues will flatten by 2024. What can companies do to maintain growth? It's not even 2023 yet, so let's not jump to conclusions here. Here's another report. Fewer signups, not cancellations, are what's slowing growth in streaming. So that could be kind of interesting. And there's just so many services out there. You want to see some consolidation, maybe. And we talked about it on the last program before I screwed it up. Hopefully it didn't cut out on you. That YouTube was thinking about, or at least YouTube TV. Was it YouTube or YouTube TV? I think it was YouTube. Was that about having a channel store? So, along with Google and Apple and Amazon and Roku. Study, nearly 60% of adults watch video on non-TV devices daily. Interesting. And one, that kind of proves my point that I was kind of talking about with Live Golf and all that stuff. People saying, well, it doesn't have a TV deal. YouTube is like 7% of streaming on connected devices. So that's just slightly less than Netflix. And then if you throw in mobile devices and 60% of people are watching video on there, yeah, it's a big deal. It's kind of a thing. Some people are. This is an interesting one. I tried checking it out, but I'm not finding it, so maybe I'll just have to keep my eyes open. Samsung TV Plus relaunch includes free premium content for select Samsung TV owners. I'm a Samsung TV owner. I looked at Samsung TV Plus and found a whole bunch of stuff. Some of it not that much different than, say, Pluto TV or what's on Plex or some of those other things, and the grid style or Roku channel for that matter. But cool and all right there on my TV. So I'll keep an eye out for that. Redbox adds value menu as company continues evolution to low-cost streaming platform. When I think of value menu, I think about a fast food restaurant and their dollar menu. What's a value menu? Okay. Redbox, it's okay. Redbox was fine, but between Redbox, Stir, and FilmRise, it was redundant when there's Pluto, Tubi. We just talked about... what did we just talk about? We just talked about Samsung and Plex. So, and Roku channel. So there's a lot out there. And so Redbox is fine. NBC is reportedly thinking about cutting back on prime time, taking out what in the central time zone, the 9 o'clock hour, East and Pacific time zone, the 10 o'clock hour. So this was also the time, apparently, that they don't care about, because remember the one time they put the Jay Leno show on that and kept the Tonight Show with Conan O'Brien for 6 months? So it may mean less. And does that mean they're choosing streaming over broadcast? That just may be. No, what they're offering here is they may throw something on there, but they're also giving that hour back to the networks for them to do whatever they want. Remember, networks, the TV stations, they're beholden to the networks to, they're looking for content too. And so if the network isn't going to give it to them, they're left to themselves to fend for themselves. So we'll have to see here. Also, don't forget now, we're coming to that time period now where the new seasons are coming up, and NBC's next day airing of shows will no longer be on Hulu. They are only going to be on Peacock. So if you didn't know that, there's your reminder. Where have you been? But that's okay. Maybe you just came onto the show here and weren't getting quality information like this before. And finally, Amazon and Peacock are bullish on digital product placement, but buyers aren't sold yet. So we talked about the story once before, and I went back on Amazon's Freevee to look at a couple of shows that I was interested in to see if I could find anything that would show something that wasn't maybe there before in a different ad that was kind of... One, I saw a guy hold a pack of frozen peas, but I couldn't tell if there was an actual product. The only thing that I saw that was just a blatant... And this wasn't a digital product placement. This was there. I guess supposedly it was digital. It was on a lower third. There's a new show called Sprung. It's about a couple people who are they were non-violent criminals and they were released during COVID, and now they're criminals again and all that stuff. So one of them is kind of a Robin Hood, and there was a nurse, overworked nurse, and blatantly said a Amazon tablet on it. I just thought that was kind of, because it also had the trademark on the title. So that was a blatant product placement. These digital product placements you're just kind of left to think, oh, is that a Coca-Cola can there? Or is that something you don't really know it's there type of thing unless you know it's there type of thing. So anyway, kind of fun. Anyway, I'm getting a little itchy, a little twitchy. I should probably get back to my Roku's and streaming devices because it's getting a little crazy in here. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you are subscribing as well. If you need more updates or anything along those lines, please check it out at meandmyroku.com. You get to see my face, and you get to see what's behind me. Sometimes I change things around. I've got a whole bunch of new stuff now. If you need more information about how I get the gift cards for streaming, you can click a link that's where you get this podcast, or you can just go to swagbucks.radioaffliction.com and get started. Want to thank once again the Internet Archive for providing the bandwidth of this podcast and all my podcasts since 2005. Check them out today at archive.org. Follow me on Instagram at Pierre Argyle. Follow me on TikTok at Me and My Roku. And if you have questions, comments, or anything along those lines, one-on-one details that you want to just ask me, I'm open 24/7. Email me, please, at meandmyrokupodcast@gmail.com. But if you really want to help this program out, please subscribe to this podcast and ask a friend, tell a relative, tell a long-lost stranger, or a pen pal, anything along those lines, to subscribe to the Me and My Roku podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Audible, Ghana, GeoSavan, Himalaya, SoundCloud, YouTube, iHeartMedia, Podbean, Pandora, and Odyssey. Oh, please do that today. Help us out here. Help me out. It's not us here. It's me. It's me and my Roku. Hey, I hope you are enjoying you and your Roku as much as I'm enjoying me and my Roku, and I'll be back with you real soon.
That's it. It's over. It's all over.
Now, guys, there are no guarantees in life, but if you wind up in this situation here in Las Vegas, you're probably going to get robbed, and possibly with a gun in your face.
Well, we've got an action-packed program for you this afternoon. We've got sailing from Hailing, we've got sledding from Reading, shooting from Tooting, and karting from... On the football front...